Welcome to Whiskey Wednesday. I'm the Shoopster.
And I am Michael. I'm Hatter, I guess you could say.
Well, that's what you always want to say. Hatter and
Shoopy.
Yeah.
Welcome to Whiskey Wednesday Live with Hatter and Shoopy. I hope that everybody can hear us. We are testing some new equipment out. But let me get Facebook pulled up back here. And
Yeah, we got to get the chat so we can see this chat.
Yeah,
you can tell us
exactly.
if you can hear us.
All right, chat is
They're already telling us, and of course we can't see it.
right. And I'm working on it here. Are we actually live? Let's reload that page and see.
Oh, they're already talking about the whiskey that we're going to use. That we're going to have tonight.
Yep, there we are. We are live. I do not see any comments yet. As a matter of fact, we do not have any viewers yet.
There was nobody in the lobby.
Right. Well, we didn't do a whole lot of advertising this week either. You know.
Well, that's on you, man. I don't know how that fucking works.
Well, yeah, I didn't know exactly what we were doing or when this equipment was coming or anything. So,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
but folks will be able to see the replay.
Yeah, let's just go.
So what do you got planned for us tonight?
Tonight we're having a Heaven Hill product. That's here. We'll take it over to a little closer to the camera. How am I doing there?
I won't be able to tell for a moment. Delay. Yes, we're good. Okay, you can see it?
Yep. We're drinking Henry McKenna. It's a 10-year bottled in bond whiskey, straight Kentucky bourbon. So let me explain a few of those things. Henry McKenna emigrated. He's an Irish immigrant. He immigrated to Kentucky in 1855, and he brought with him his secret family whiskey recipe. And he adapted that recipe to the grains that were available in Kentucky at the time. I don't know the specific mash bill for this particular bourbon, but we know one thing for sure, since it's labeled straight Kentucky whiskey, a straight bourbon has to be at least a minimum of 51% corn in the mash bill. I'm sure if you go to Heaven Hill's website, they'll have the specific mash bill on McKenna. Bottled in bond, a bottled in bond product is always 100 proof, so it means half of the liquid in there is alcohol. That's what, of course, one of the reasons we drink whiskey. I mean, for some of the alcohol, of course.
Exactly.
Me personally, I drink whiskey for the flavor of it. I just have always loved it ever since I was my kid. My parents were rubbing whiskey on my cutting teeth.
Now, I can't say my parents ever did that. But
No, I'll have to say
we did have our homemade cough syrup.
it was actually my grandparents. My last week we toasted to Michael's grandfather. Was my grandfather that got me into two bad habits. One that I've gotten rid of. One was whiskey, obviously, and the other was chewing tobacco. But I've kicked that to the curb. And he always used to drink Old Granddad.
Okay. Appropriate.
Yeah. Anyways, so let's crack this thing. A bottled in bond. What makes it bottled in bond? The product is stored in a government regulated rickhouse, so that makes it bottled in bond. It's it's really just a nonsense thing. But back in the 1800s, it led the customer or the consumer to say, hey, this is well regulated and I'm getting what I'm paying for. Now, before bottling came around, you would get something that was bonded, a bonded whiskey. So whiskey used to be sold as whole barrels. I think it was up until into the early 1900s before they started bottling whiskey. Either that or the late 1800s, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. So,
well, right now we have one viewer. Who's out there with us? Oh, I see. Wait, it is Susie Q, also known as Carmen. Works great for colic, she says.
Yeah. So we're gonna crack this. This is a fresh bottle now. What's interesting about this particular bottle, I have yet to open it. I just cracked the seal on it before we started the broadcast tonight, and I bought this bottle. I saw it on the shelf in 2019, so it's been sitting on my shelf for 6 years now.
Nice.
Yeah, unopened. But what is interesting is I bought this bottle, and then about 3 weeks later, this particular, now not this barrel, because Henry McKenna is a single barrel product. Okay, so the barrel that I have is not the same barrel, but in that year, this particular whiskey at the San Francisco Whiskey Festival won Whiskey of the Year. And all of a sudden, right after that, it was next to impossible to find this product in the marketplace up until about a year or two ago, when everybody just said, hey, it's McKenna, it's Heaven Hill. It's good, it's very good whiskey, but it's not spectacular whiskey. You know, it's not like, oh my God, I got some wood in my pants whiskey. But it's very good. And just, of course, when you have a single barrel product, it is barrel dependent now. So I'm hoping that we got a good barrel. You can get whiskey. I mean, I've tried single barrel stuff. I go from this bottle to that bottle, and Blanton's is one of the products I've done this on. I've had great Blantons and I've had Blantons. And that, again, is another single barrel product. So without any further ado, let's uncork this.
Absolutely. And you had told me you were planning on doing this for one of our Whiskey Wednesdays. And recently I was looking for a nice bottle for a friend. And this is what I ended up settling on, even though I had never tasted it before that. So this is my first time tasting McKenna with Scott. But I recently had some of this.
You can already smell the caramel.
I love
Now here, the tasting notes on this and what I'm expecting is vanilla, caramel, oak. It's got really nice amber color.
Yeah. I don't know how well we can see. Are we frozen? Are we still live? Let me refresh this because I can't tell at the moment whether we're live or not. We are still live. Okay, just wanted to make sure there. We have 2 viewers now. Where did that come from? It's supposed to be one picture back here. Okay.
Very herbaceous.
And still live, yes. There we go. Thank you, Carmen. All right, and we have 2 viewers. Who's the second viewer? Wait a minute. Didn't reply. But yeah, I definitely noticed the caramel tones.
Oh yeah, you smell the caramel, but I'm getting herbs, like I don't know, just a bouquet of herbs. It's faint.
Great aroma.
Yeah, good note, really good nose. No, here's Tabasco. You already
Whiskey Wednesday. I'm sorry, I just took a little.
That's all right.
Little bitty nip for it. Very nice. Cheers.
It's got good legs on it. You know, it's interesting when you get that 100 proof. It just doesn't. 100 on down just doesn't bowl you over.
Right.
Which is nice, but then there's some. It's not a barrel proof. It's a bottled and bond, so it's 100 proof.
Right.
Which we'll get to some. The one whiskey prior to broadcasting that we shared, I have a bottle of Jack Daniel's, single barrel proof, and it's was that 136 proof, right?
Right.
And it's typical Jack Daniel's. It's bananas. You just bananas Foster is what you're getting. But then all of a sudden that proof hits you. It's like woo. But this is very smooth. No, a little Kentucky hug to it, but not
very little though. I mean,
yeah, not bad at all.
So, barreled on 12/22/10.
Yep, 40 seasons.
Wow.
That's what they say. It went through 40 Kentucky seasons. So
yeah.
And Kentucky, if you look at that on the map, I mean, that really does experience 4 seasons that are pretty equal month-wise,
right,
time-wise.
Whereas down here we have 1 season.
No, I think we have 2 seasons. Construction season, which is very long. And then the off-season.
Right.
Holidays.
Snowbird season.
Yeah, snowbird season, exactly.
Oh, man. Well, it looks like Carmen is our only viewer this evening. Of course, like I said, I did not do a lot of promotion for it this week. Everything was kind of up in the air with the equipment coming in and everything. But
Well, hey, Carmen, you got to tell us if we suck or not.
well, last week she seemed to enjoy it.
Last week we had a guest.
Yes, we did. And it was a little bit different overall. We don't normally have guests in here. Normally it's just Scott and I doing this. So we had Buck
Sipping whiskey and talking shit.
right, just like we're doing now.
But, we do have some rules. One of the rules, and we adhered to it pretty well last week, was no politics, no outrageous bullshit. What's going on outside out there
Doesn't come in here.
necessarily want to make its way in here, unless it's something that, like here, what was interesting this week to me, of all the stuff that happened, and this is not political, but it was the Northern Lights. I mean, I know a guy in Jacksonville that said, geez, he could see them on the horizon.
Yes.
And I was just like, I didn't bother to go out.
Neither did I. Which, oddly enough, because I'm a space nerd.
Yeah, I know. Well, look, I mean, I got that big telescope. You'd think I would have cracked it out.
Exactly.
But what's interesting is the pictures that have popped up.
From Gainesville, even.
I,
People said they couldn't see it with the naked eye, but when they were trying to take pictures with their phone of the sky, that it was showing up then.
That's really interesting. And
It is.
the other thing that's interesting to me is the pictures that came out of really way up north. Like, because I saw pictures in Scotland, and then way down south, New Zealand, South Africa, the sky was pink. Which I grew up north, so seeing the Northern Lights was in the summertime a very common occurrence. It was like green fluorescent lights dancing across the sky.
Whoops. Sorry. Didn't know it would do that. Like I said, I do not know Facebook Live. Pardon me.
That's okay. See,
Sorry, Carmen.
That's when he can tell us that we suck.
Well, here, wait.
You guys suck.
Carmen actually did have some input for us here. She said doing good so far and learning some new info.
Well, great.
Yeah. Worked for me.
Yeah, now here, that's another thing you're going to learn about. Anybody that sees this on rebroadcast, you're going to post that. Are you going to post this to YouTube?
I haven't started yet, but I do have plans to begin that.
Yeah, why not?
I've picked up some software back here that I.
But then we got to change my name on there.
Yeah, we'll do that. I just was trying to throw something.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
What do you want to be known by in here?
Well, you called me the sage caterpillar.
Hatter and the Caterpillar.
I guess we should set up a hookah.
So, instead of a hookah, he brings booze.
Yeah.
Cheers to you, sir.
Thank
Very
you.
good booze at that.
Yeah, this is very tasty. What's interesting about this is a sipping whiskey. There's no doubt about it, but it would be good in any high-profile whiskey cocktail. A Negroni, a Manhattan,
Right.
A whiskey sour. The classic Prohibition era cocktails.
Right.
This would be very good in,
And
because it's got a great flavor to it.
just to give you those of you who are watching now, Carmen, and who may see the replay later, I'm a bit of a novice as far as this goes. Whiskey, it's always been Jack Daniels and Ancient Age in my family. So Scott has actually expanded my horizons and my palate on this.
Yeah, but what's
about
interesting about this now is because we're broadcasting, we can circle back to some of those bottles that we've
had before
and review them again. And what will be interesting too is look at for like 6 or 7 weeks, I brought over bottles that were the last of that bottle.
Right, right.
So it's like, okay, well now we get to compare. Okay, we had this. 2 months ago. Now let's compare it another bottle to see if it's got the same profile. Is it just as good? Like one of the whiskeys that I'm thinking about that I want. I mean, I really want to. There's a couple coming that I just really want to have you enjoy that I really like.
Right. Are you going to give me any preview on it, or are we going to surprise me and everybody else?
The ones that I'm thinking about. They're fairly common whiskeys, but when I'm looking forward to circling back to, it'll be great to circle back to the Lost Monarch. Remember Lost Monarch, the bottle with the blue label?
Yes.
That was the first time that I heard you say, "Ooh, this is really tasty whiskey."
Right.
And I was like, "Oh, I got a hook in him now."
Got him now.
You know.
That was actually near the beginning of when we started doing the
I was-
whiskey-focused stuff here.
Yeah, I would say that was maybe our second or third week.
Yeah.
That's such a good, versatile whiskey. It can be used. You can sip that. It's not high proof. See, in my opinion, high proof stuff you don't want to put in a cocktail because it just overwhelms the cocktail.
Right.
Okay, high proof,
Same thing with alcohol.
barrel proof stuff is you got to sip it, drink it, and appreciate it for what it is. I mean, you're getting the full flavor of that particular barrel or blend. And some of the stuff you'd think is going to be fantastic, and it just knocks you in the dirt.
We have a second viewer.
Oh, all right.
I think I saw who it was. Coach Bridges, is that you out there? This is, if it's the person that I saw like a video a minute ago, it's a coach from Hapeville High School.
Awesome.
Way back.
Yeah, see, we don't advertise my shit. Fuck those people. Besides, all you Hapeville people call me a damn Yankee anyways.
Not this guy. Once you met him, you wouldn't call him that.
No, I've learned to conjugate the might could.
Mike could, yeah. That's his favorite saying of mine.
That's my favorite Georgia saying.
So I don't know how much of it was intelligible last week, as far as
We were pretty raucous last week.
yeah, we were, and the camera was further back, and we didn't have
And we didn't have the mics.
microphones and everything. But Scott and I met on. Yep, that is Coach Bridges. Hey, Coach. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you.
Yeah, woohoo! We got 2 viewers.
Yes, 2 viewers. But Scott and I met on a car lot. He and I both attempted car sales for a little while.
Yeah. After the 2008 fiasco,
It was
Which
March 2012.
which found me in my company in bankruptcy court, and it was a nightmare. And all of a sudden, I was like, "Holy shit! I better get a job."
And I had jumped out of retail for my first time. Actually, it was to help my grandmother along to her final journey. And then when I came to get a job again, I came to the training with, what was his name? Bill something.
Yeah, Bill
Monroe.
something. I can't remember.
I think that was it. Anyway, Buck
Yeah.
might know. We'll check with Buck on that.
He interviewed us and selected the class, and
Yep.
he ended up telling the general manager then, "Oh, here's the I think we had 4 people out of our class of
Right.
20.
Here's your best prospect.
Here's the guys you should hire."
Right.
And we just happened to be 2 of the knuckleheads.
Right, and we're both great with sales. We're just that.
We're ethical.
Yes, that industry is not ethical from the sales side at all.
No.
And nothing against Buck. Buck is one of the few that does have ethics about the way he does business. But
the general manager, the general manager and the general sales manager at that time ended up getting in trouble with the law for some of the shit that they were doing. No charges were pressed. Nobody went to jail or anything, but the company refunded some customers some copious amount of money.
Yes.
So
I
we
think
didn't hit a
that
good.
One deal that I made money on was part of all that. I'm not saying any more about that because there's some big local implications there.
Yeah,
It was a local dignitary's mother was the person that I sold the car to. Not dignitary, local personality, but he's pretty high up in the community, so I'm not going to say any more about it.
yeah. Nah, it's
Point being was we bonded over walking around that lot when there were no customers.
bored off our ass.
Yes, and we would get to take test drives in cars.
We just drive around in cars.
and blast music on the Bluetooth.
Yeah.
I turned Scott on to Dream Theater. And,
Yep.
of course, we bonded over Rush as well.
Real quick.
By the way, a buddy of mine tuned in for a little bit last week on the replay, and he said, I could have bet you money that you'd be talking about Rush, and sure enough, when I tuned in, you were. I thought it's because Buck went to the Rush concert with us.
That's true.
But anyway, that's how Scott and I came to meet each other. One thing I learned pretty early was this guy listens to music like
I don't play music.
No,
I don't play an instrument.
he doesn't play an instrument. But he
I tried to
listens
play
like
an
a musician.
instrument when I was in 6th grade. It's not like I didn't get it.
What'd you try?
Trumpet.
Trumpet. 6th grade, cornet. Same
Okay.
thing. Yep.
Yeah.
That didn't last either.
No, I just didn't enjoy it. I mean,
What's funny is as much hot air as you and I put out there. Yeah, it looks like we'd be pretty good.
hey, I got hot air out of both ends, for Christ's sakes.
Well, yeah, you about ran me out of here earlier.
Hey, watch it. I could reload.
Right. So for a moment we had 3 viewers. I don't know who that third viewer was, but thank you.
Yeah, man. You want some more?
Um,
You're just flying through it, buddy.
Am I? Because I'm just barely sipping. I'm just doing it often, I guess.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, no, it is. This is good whiskey. This is good sipping whiskey. It's I mean, there's a bunch of 10 years out there.
I'll hold for just a moment.
Okay. This is this is the first time that I've ever tasted McKenna.
Straight like that?
Yeah.
Ah. So I was one up on you this time.
Correct. You got to tell that story.
Yes, I do. It will embarrass my son a little bit, but
Yeah,
he'll be okay.
yeah. He's already over it. He got to sleep in 3 minutes instead of, well, maybe on that particular night he got missed 20 minutes of sleep.
Nah, I made sure he didn't feel bad about it. But anyway, we'll get to that in just a little bit. First time you've tasted McKenna, you said.
Yeah.
So honest review, out of the connoisseur over here, the sage.
Like I said before, very caramel, very oaky, little vanilla, and herbaceous. I can't. Clove, maybe.
I'm getting a little clove out of that, yeah. Until you said it, I couldn't really identify it. But.
It's hard to pick out. It finishes really nicely on your palate. That's the thing that I really am picking up about this.
Well, I mean, here, give you an example of something. We were talking earlier about how smooth it is and everything. And even your 80 proofs have some Kentucky hug to them. Sometimes some serious Kentucky hug.
Yeah, that's bad whiskey.
Yeah. And
Because when they proof it down that much, it's so much water. It's just
right.
Which makes you think when that came out of the barrel. But see, that's stuff that's okay. Here, this is again a straight bourbon whiskey.
Right.
Straight bourbon whiskey has to be aged a minimum of 2 years to be straight Kentucky bourbon whiskey.
That's all that Rose is.
Yeah.
And that's one we'll circle back to definitely because I've got some of that left. I bought a bottle at a distillery in Dillard, Georgia recently.
Yeah. And that's just straight bourbon, though,
right.
if you'll notice. Because if it's labeled straight Kentucky whiskey, everything has to be done in Kentucky except for the grain that's grown. It doesn't have to be grown in Kentucky. So they can import grain from other states.
But they have to actually process it.
Everything has to happen in the state of Kentucky.
Gotcha.
That's what makes it. But straight bourbon has to be aged a minimum of 2 years. And I think if it's 4 years or longer, it then has to be age stated on the bottle. And, of course, on this bottle, we have a 10-year age statement on the bottle.
What I love about, and this is something you introduced me to already, too, though, is growing up on cheap whiskey.
Well, I mean, you know what? Here, don't feel bad.
I didn't see this, but
I grew up on cheap whiskey, too.
But
I grew up on Canadian whiskey.
The handwritten notes on it, I love seeing that. It's just kind of a novelty, I guess, in my case. But the fact that they cared enough about what they're producing.
Well, and here's you got to think about this is this since it's a single barrel. Mm-hmm. There's only so many bottles that came out of that barrel.
Right, so it's got a
so it's going to have a barrel number on it, and right, so that you know
another hit of that.
What exactly. It's one of my favorite sounds in the world.
Yep.
Actually, I should set that as my my ringtone for text alerts.
There you go. Cheers again, sir.
Now here's the difference too. Michael doesn't have to drive. I do.
That's the great part about being the actual physical host of Whiskey Wednesday.
But here going forward too, just so you know, we're not just going to have sipping whiskeys. We'll circle back on certain bottles too. That it's like I mentioned one, Redwood Empire's Lost Monarch, which is one of my favorite. It's an American whiskey. It's not a bourbon, but it is, in my opinion, the tastiest, most versatile bottle of whiskey out there. I really, really like that bottle, and it is an all-purpose bottle. You can use it. You can sip it, and it's a good sipper.
Right.
But you can use it in any whiskey cocktail, or you can use it in a glaze for meats, a glaze for fish, all that kind of stuff. Anywhere that whiskey is used, that's a really good product for that.
Well,
and it's not terribly expensive.
Being the foodie that you are, we could actually do a Whiskey Wednesday foodie version one night.
Sure, we could do that.
Here's kind of what I've seen as part of my vision for what we're doing here. I don't see it as being all whiskey focused.
No, I don't think we should do that
or all live focused for that matter. I think you and I both together have come up with some pretty good ideas for some content to go along with this part of it.
Yeah.
I've seen some of your content from the past. I've got some ideas going forward from this.
Oh, my old YouTube videos.
Yeah. Yep. So I think we've got some pretty good plans for the folks out here.
Yeah, no, it's just fun. The biggest thing that I don't know how to get this across, but we just have fun on Wednesday nights.
Absolutely.
So
whatever we do, whatever we talk about.
Yeah. So that's what we want to push out.
Want to share that with you guys. Right?
Is just and hopefully we'll attract an audience that wants to just sit back, kick back, have something to drink. If you're not a whiskey drinker, bring a beer.
Yeah.
And excuse my language, but I fucking curse.
I do too. Right now, if you can't tell, I'm kind of in a retail mode. But I guess just being with the camera on us and everything, I'll relax a little bit into that too. But,
yeah. Well, after I had heart surgery, that's another thing that we have. We have a lot in common.
We have a lot in common.
And part of it, I wish we didn't have it in common.
Absolutely.
On both of our sides. But, I was almost 11 years ago, just past 10 years. This past November, I had a hellacious heart attack, spent 30 days in a coma, and that's when you gave me the Yoda doll.
That's right. That's right. Because
that's when Michael had his gallbladder out too.
Exactly, because I followed you into the damn hospital.
Yeah.
And you even told
I didn't know that until...
No, but after you woke up and found out that I'd been in there. I didn't mean to drag you in there with me. But you get in this man's orbit, and there is gravity that pulls you in. No, but I tell you, I'm just going to be totally honest about this. You're one of the best friends I've ever had. And there's only a couple of people in my life that I count.
No, I know what you mean. There's a handful of people that you're close to.
And I'm like you, I collect
friends,
right.
But that was. Did you ask me one time, what do you collect?
What do you collect? And you said friends. That was one of our walks around the lot.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's better said I collect acquaintances.
Yep.
Because I can name on one hand the really close friends
the true friends, right?
Yeah, that I have.
And that would be you and the other gentleman we were talking about earlier are two of the best friends that I've had in my entire life, and that would be Mr. Lee Sanders. Some of you that know me will know that name. He and I played in a band together by the name of Rough and Ready. But recently he celebrated his birthday, and we're getting back around to the Henry McKenna story.
That's right. We can segue right. Good segue. Excellent segue.
So,
here's one thing I will say.
Okay.
Go like this. Not as dumb as it looks.
Not as dumb as it looks. So recently I took a vacation and we went to Dillard, Georgia. I actually mentioned that earlier with the bottle of whiskey that I brought back, which was something we'll circle back to again another time as well. But when we went up there, I had planned to go stop by Lee's house on his birthday, and I had kind of been struggling with what kind of whiskey to get him because he enjoys a good bottle of whiskey, and we had talked about Noble and a couple other things.
Colonel Taylor.
Colonel Taylor
was one of them I suggested.
The other one that
if you could find it
in here that you said was hard to find. What was that? With the apple tones in it.
Oh yeah, impossible to find now. Sagmore's Calvados Finish Rye,
Right.
which is one of my favorite whiskeys. Period. You might not see that. I covet that. I don't covet things.
The fact that he brought that bottle over to share with me lets me know what this guy thinks of me.
Yeah, well, didn't I bring 2 bottles? We finished one.
Yeah,
I had another. And here's how hard it was at the time it was in the market, that whiskey. I had to reserve a bottle. My wife and I went to the beach one day, and then we drove down to Daytona to a store that had it. And when I walked in, they had a bottle on reserve for me because I asked them, I said, can I have you put it on the shelf? I'll pay with a credit card over the phone right now. And they said, okay, we'll do that. When we walked in the store, it was one of the big box stores. When we walked in the store, there were 2 more bottles sitting on the shelf. So I told my wife, you take a bottle right now, go out and just go get it. And she was like, aren't you going to check out with me?
Oh, sure. Sorry. I was trying to reply to a comment on
Oh,
that,
okay.
And took it to that.
And
Sorry.
I said,
We'll learn.
I said, no. I said, you just go out and go to the car and sit in the car and don't do anything. And I'll go and I'll check out and don't talk to me, no nothing. So then I grabbed the other bottle that was on the shelf, knowing that the 3rd bottle was in the reserve thing. And I walked out. I walked up, I bought that bottle, I walked out to my car, and the guy that checked me out, he did a double take on me when I walked back in, but I put on a hat and I changed my clothes. I had my swim shorts on and a t-shirt on, but I had a change of clothes and I hadn't changed from the beach. So I changed my shorts, I changed my shirt, I put a baseball cap on, and I walked back into the store, and I didn't go back to that same guy, but I went to another person in the store and said, hey, I have this bottle on reserve. Here's my ID. And they got it for me. So I walked out of that store with 3 of those bottles.
Awesome.
I gave one of those bottles to my oldest son for Christmas that year, which he still has some of it.
Awesome.
And I ended up with 2. And
we get him over here one night.
Yeah. Well, I've told him many times, now Colton, he works. My middle child, it works for the local utility company here, and he comes home dog-ass tired every day. So,
understood.
But he's changing jobs.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's got an opportunity to become a journeyman electrician now.
Nice.
So yeah, he's going to go into that direction, and he did that through his union connections. So.
Very nice.
Good for him.
Let me steer back.
Yeah, now let's go back to Henry McKenna.
Back to the Henry McKenna story. So, anyway, I walk into this liquor store down the street that I won't mention yet, hopefully. We'll see. But anyway, there's a new whiskey store right down the street. And I walk
That's not the only thing they sell, though.
Right.
It's got a whiskey name, though.
Right. But anyway,
if we get a big enough audience, they'll sponsor us.
Exactly. That's kind of what I'm hoping is maybe we can work out a little.
If we get, I'll bet you if we get 1,500 people that.
Well, first we got to get to 500 on Facebook.
Okay.
Right now I'm at.
We have 3.
A little over 300. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little over 300 at the moment. And we are thinking about, by the way, opening a dedicated Whiskey Wednesday page. That should be coming soon. I just haven't sat down with you yet to.
Collaborate on the design.
Here,
now you're seeing the tangents that we go on.
Yes.
Let's tangent back to the McKenna.
Henry McKenna story. Go into the bourbon store over here. And I'm looking for a bottle of whiskey for my buddy up in Georgia. And I texted Scott. I said, what should I get? And he throws a couple of names at me, and they didn't have either one. But the one that had stuck was Scott had said recently that he was bringing this over. So I asked him if he had it. And he did have one bottle on the shelf, and it was kind of like this other reserve thing that you're talking about. Everything else was back in the back.
It's allocated, that's why.
Yeah. So I went ahead and got that for Lee, and I said, I'm going to tell my buddy about this because I think it's fairly rare to be able to find this. And he said, well, I've got another bottle back here. Do you want to go ahead and get a second one? Didn't really want to spend that much, but sure why not?
Yeah.
Because what I was thinking was surprise you and bring it in for a Whiskey Wednesday one night before you brought yours in. So I bought a second bottle.
Thank God you did.
No kidding. So anyway, fast forward to a couple of days into the trip. We're leaving one leg of our journey and getting ready to head down to Jasper, where my buddy lives. And I make sure that everything is packed nearby the back that's going to be coming out when we get to his house. Now, I took a couple of things, including my son's old computer, to help with maybe some music work remotely, but we'll get to that again later as well. But I took this bottle and I put it right at the back in a gift bag, ready to pull out of the back of the truck as soon as we got to the location where Lee was, to his home. And my son is packing things to leave the hotel. And he opens the back gate and the bottle falls out onto the pavement.
And doesn't survive.
I ended up with the neck of a bottle. And I sent Scott a picture of it.
Yeah.
I said, I'll tell you the story later.
I recognize the label because
Very distinctive.
The bottle and bond that they put on McKenna it looks like $100 bill.
Yes, let's see if we can.
See if you can get that.
It's
got the same font, engraver's font.
Fed Reserve font or whatever.
Whatever it's called. I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, that should be good enough for them to view it. For her to view it. I think Carmen is the only one out there again. We will be more consistent about the things that we're doing here as far as times and everything as well. We're just kind of getting started with everything at the moment. Well, here, how this started was one of our little tangent conversations.
Yeah, this idea came out of a tangent.
Yep.
You're right.
And then I just kind of pulled the pin on the grenade last week.
We're doing it.
Yeah, we're going to do it this Wednesday.
Buck's coming over. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know, or whatever. I don't care. Hey, I used to jump on airplanes for Christ's sake. Okay, here we go.
So, and here we are with the second installment.
Yeah,
of
no,
Whiskey Wednesday.
that's a blast. I'm having, and it's just enjoyable to sit and chat.
Yeah.
And another part of this comes out of just the podcast world. Two guys having a conversation,
Right.
about whatever.
Right.
And hopefully that'll bring some audience now. But I hate to think about limiting the audience because of certain subjects like we've talked about already.
Exactly.
And I guess we're repeating ourselves a lot right now.
That's fine. I mean, we're in the infant stages of this.
Yeah, I know.
As far as that goes, we're still.
Hey, I'm thinking there's 500,000 people watching us right now. I'm envisioning that.
One.
We're going to manifest that.
So anyway, some of the plans that I'm thinking of here is with the software that I've got, we actually have the ability to pipe in stuff like, Reaper, the digital audio workstation that I use here. I could actually pull that in once I get everything computer-based. We should be able to still use this camera with the computer back here and everything, running everything. So I would be able to run Reaper and maybe even do live music. Say Dave Hall, who was here last week but never showed up on camera. There's the kitty cat. Say if he were to bring a guitar over or something like that, we would be able to do a live jam.
That would be cool, which I think would be cool.
Just kind of got the little keyboard set up back
And I would sit there and tell him, oh, you're a little flat there.
And one thing, as I've done more research on this, as you know, I'm trying to set up a northern branch of the Sanctum Sanctorum here.
With Lee.
With Lee.
Now, that should be an interesting project. I'm looking forward to seeing what goes on
I
with
am, too. I'm really looking forward to making music with him again. But long story short, we took my son's old computer up there and loaded some software on there for him. And hopefully, very soon, we will be able to start recording remotely from up there. Now, in my research, I've also found out that the same company that makes my digital audio workstation makes a live jam software.
Oh, cool.
So, apparently, through the magic of streaming, he and I can live jam from Jasper, Georgia to here. Now, I'm wondering if we'll be able to incorporate that in the broadcast. Not necessarily him specifically, but I have friends literally all over the country who play music.
Well, you've seen those jams that they've done on Zoom calls.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and especially during COVID.
Yeah,
that's
what I'm thinking of. So I'm thinking.
But I've got a buddy of mine up in New Jersey, Kip, who I've spoken to briefly about possibly doing some live jam and some recording with me. And of course, anybody else that I know that I've ever played with, or that I know that plays music. Who knows? The sky's the limit on this. It might take us a little while to get to that point to incorporate that kind of live music into it, but
be fun though.
I mean,
be a fun way to open the show.
What's a bar without live music, right?
Yeah, true.
Cheers, sir. Nice tone there.
Yeah. Hey, come on. I don't buy cheap shit.
Right. That is a very, very smooth whiskey. And before I met Scott, I had never actually sipped whiskey. It was, the three brands that I could actually name you.
I just love the flavor.
Ancient Age.
Which
classic whiskey, as far as that goes.
It's a Buffalo Trace product now.
Didn't used to be, of course.
No, it didn't used to be. There used to be a distillery on every corner in the Midwest. But they've kept that product pretty right where it's. I mean, I had Ancient Age when I was in high school.
Right.
It tastes very similar to that. That profile is still there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they've done a great job keeping.
Boy, I just said, I just told everybody, hey, when I was in high school, you could drink when you were 18. I was in one of those states.
Here, I'll show you my age. I was 1 year behind the 18 to 21 increase.
Oh, so you got the shaft.
Oh, yeah, I was 17, and it went, I was 18, and it went to 19 that year. And it followed me for 3 years.
Yeah, no, I mean,
because it was a 1 year graduation on that. 19, 20, 21. So on my 21st birthday, what did I do? I went and had a Manhattan with my granddaddy at his gravesite.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Because unfortunately, for my 18th birthday, he was still around, but I couldn't drink then.
Now, knowing granddads, it's too bad he didn't say, fuck the rules.
He was by the book.
Oh.
And I respect the hell out of that for him. Because even though he was still around when I was 18 years old, and he saw that drinking age increase and everything, on your 21st birthday, I'll have a Manhattan with you.
My granddad was feeding me tobacco and whiskey when I was like 12. I'm not exaggerating.
Whiskey elsewhere, but
here, I have an older cousin of mine that was close to an age, and he called me one time because I was going up to the lake. My grandparents had a house on a lake in northern Wisconsin, and he told me, he says, "Oh, Grant, you're going up to fish with Grandpa." I said, "Yeah." He goes, you're going to learn to chew tobacco and drink whiskey. I was like, what? Oh, yeah. Well, he wasn't lying. Of course, chewing tobacco, it was Copenhagen.
Right.
Which, I puked my guts out. And my grandfather
Beach
says,
nut was my first one.
you're chumming. You're chumming for the... And I caught a big fish that day. I caught a big northern pike that day.
It took me a second, and it almost hit wrong.
I was chumming. Oh, yeah. We caught a passel of crappies that day, and I caught a big fucking pickerel. So... Oh, yeah, I'll remember that for a while.
So the other whiskeys that I was talking about.
Yes, sorry.
That was one of our tangents. Yeah, there we go. So Ancient Age, and of course, classic Blackjack, Old Number 7.
Yeah, I mean...
that was my mom's. That was her favorite because
it was
when
really
she drank, she just wanted to
get buzzed.
Get buzzed and have a great time.
Yeah, no, I mean, Jack Daniels is probably the most common American whiskey.
Right. Now, there was a classic picture of Jimmy Page.
Yeah, yeah.
Guzzling one. And Jack Daniels would not use that for an advertisement.
Because they didn't like who was drinking it.
They said it was the wrong image.
Yeah.
That they didn't want.
It was
they didn't want people drinking their whiskey straight out of the bottle, straight up like that. Right. Okay. But anyway, third whiskey. I'm gonna see your knowledge here.
I'm gonna scratch my head on this one.
Maybe. I mean, this is on the level of MD 2020 Thunderbird.
Oh man, MD 2020. I got drunk off my ass with that stuff once.
Rebel Yell.
Oh, Rebel Yell. You know that?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. That was some firewater.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
My first Rush concert. 16 years old. Yeah, I had some Rebel Yell for that concert. Luckily, my parents are passed away and don't know about that. But yeah, Rebel Yell was the only other whiskey I ever really did.
Ooh, that was some serious firewater.
Man, I didn't drink it for the taste. I can tell you that.
No, but that was... You got a lot of alcohol. I think that was 100 proof.
I don't know.
If my memory serves me right, your Rebel Yell was 100 proof.
It did the job.
Yeah.
Of course, Jack did the job too.
Yeah, I think what they did is, with Rebel Yell, they took it out, put it in a barrel, waited 20 minutes, bottled it.
That's about right.
I swear, just enough to change the color a little bit. Said, "Oh, here, put a little caramel coloring in there while it goes."
Let's see. So we're back to one viewer. I saw two for a minute. And I was going to ask who was out there, but apparently they're gone. Well,
how long have we been going?
Let's see. What time did we actually start? You remember?
I don't know. What do I look like, the Shell Answer Man?
Well, it is 9:41. I know at 8:30 was about when you showed up. We were probably live about 15 minutes later.
All right, so we 45 minutes?
Yeah, 45 minutes to close to an hour.
Let's go for an hour.
All right, very good.
You know.
We give it about 15 more minutes or so. What else we got to talk about? What else do you want to do? You've heard my vision for it. What else are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm just kind of a go with the flow guy. I mean, because the way I see this is, I know you see it, this is our baby, but I see this as your baby.
Okay, all right.
Because it was, hey, we're going to go live next week. Okay.
All right, here we go.
You're driving the truck, man. I feel like I'm on a school bus going downhill with no wheels. On the rails, sparks flying everywhere.
Did I tell you about Betty's experience on the Georgia Mountain Coaster?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So those of you that know me, my girlfriend is Betty. She went to school with me back in Russell High School. But recently when we went on this vacation, we stopped through Helen on the way back from Dillard. And they have this thing there called the Georgia Mountain Coaster. Now this thing is a gravity coaster.
Oh, is it a single seat gravity coaster?
Single seat gravity coaster.
Gives you a break in between your legs? Yeah. Those are cool.
Betty misunderstood the instructions. She thought they said push forward to brake.
Oh, push forward. There's no brake. Go fast.
She thought she was going to die.
Well, you're on a rail.
Yeah, but that's going
No,
pretty fast.
I'm
Here,
sure.
Let's put it this way. Aiden said, you ought to do it. I said, Aiden, they don't let people who've had heart attacks do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's a good reason for that.
Yeah, roller
And
coasters are out.
And yeah, as much as I love them, I just not
I
even
can't.
risking it.
Yeah, I'll never jump out of another plane.
Right? I never did that, but coasters I loved. But so anyway, so Aiden's trying to
I
convince
haven't
me
done
to get
that
on
in
this thing.
35 years.
Right? He's trying to convince me to get on this damn thing.
Oh, I bet you he was. You could have. You've just been riding the brake the whole
Oh
time.
man! When we got up there, it said, "If you doubt yourself at all, don't." So I just said I bailed at that point. You know, I wasn't really going to.
It's not worth at the
Right.
end of the day. And here, this is coming from an adrenaline junkie, and you know that I'm
Yeah.
a serious adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
I probably the better judgment in me would say, yeah, I probably shouldn't do that. Why do I want to risk that?
So yeah, I bailed at the last moment, but honestly, from the moment I even considered it, it was I don't think I'm going to do this. So I just kind of stood in line with him for a minute. But
That is just like putting your nose right up against molten caramel.
it is.
It's like we're making caramel on the damn stovetop.
Speaking of caramel, here's a little funny for you. Tangent aside here. Recently, when we went up to Georgia, I went and pulled a piece of candy out of my pocket, and my sister looks at me. She goes, "Oh, you got old man candy." It was Werther's.
You almost made me swallow wrong.
I had recently the hospital.
That is old man candy.
Yes, it is. And you know what?
It's
I'm
really
okay
good.
with it.
It's really good. Don't get me wrong.
Well, see, the best part is what I actually found. It wasn't just your normal Werther's. At the gift shops of the hospital, they have the hard shell soft center ones.
Oh, those are nice.
Oh, yeah, they are. And by the way, Dollar General or Dollar Tree, I can't remember which one, actually sells those and the caramel apple filled ones.
God, caramel apples. I haven't had one of those in a
Yeah.
eon.
To me, it's not as good as the actual caramel one. Discussing old man candy now.
There's some kid out there going, I can't eat this now.
Right? Here, talk about some old man candy. How long has it been since you've seen a Brock's Sour Ball?
Oh, you know what I thought you're gonna hit me with was a bit of honey.
Oh,
That's
I love
another
those.
old man. Oh, I love those too. A Brock sour ball. Oh, forever.
I
mean, that was just pure sugar.
Yeah, but I've been trying to find those for years. I can't find them anymore.
Probably because they don't make them.
Amazon has them, but they're exorbitantly high.
Yeah, because they're rare.
Right. They sell them in the cans now.
Really?
Yeah, like a peanut.
Yeah. Interesting.
But like I said, they're just ridiculously expensive, so I can't.
Yeah, no. Pass. It's just candy. It's just boiled sugar.
But the caramel,
No.
there's definitely caramel tones in this. I mean, no doubt.
Yeah. You get caramel, then vanilla, and then I'm riding that aftertaste. It's clove.
Yeah,
That's what I get.
I've definitely tasted that clove in there too.
Maybe some allspice. But just clove, herbaceous herbs, but not fresh herbs.
And not the kind of herb I'm thinking.
No, you silly man.
Hey, I'm a child of the 70s. What can I say?
Well, you know what the most common phrase in the 1980s
Oh,
was?
yeah. Here!
And that was in the first part of the 80s. The second part of the 80s was here.
I never got to that point. Thank you.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Saw too many people do that stuff right there. So, yeah.
That's the best drug I ever tried in my life.
And you wonder why we've had heart attacks.
Yeah, no, that was one time, and I was just like, yeah, no, wow, this is so fucking good. I can't ever do this
Can't do
again.
this
I'll
again.
never stop.
Yep. And with parents as hippies, I lived vicariously through them. I let them do all of it. I just watched.
I had parents that were wannabe hippies.
Okay.
They were responsible.
Okay.
They had responsible jobs. Real, my mom was a nurse. My dad was in the insurance industry.
Right.
But the music that they listened to and the way that they... And my dad's...
parents saw some good bands
Yeah.
over the years.
Here, was... I mean, they were into all that stuff. I can remember my mom crying her eyes out the day Bobby Kennedy was killed.
My mother's birthday was JFK's, and she was very in tune with him. And she was here. She was born in '46. In the year he was killed, she was a junior in school.
Oh yeah.
So he was close to her, and that was always a big thing with her. But the music that our parents got to experience, in some cases live.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, well, here, who did your parents see live? Do you know of any concerts they went to?
Yes. Of all the things that my parents got to see live, though, the one that I'm most envious of is Bob Newhart before people knew who he was.
I love it.
They saw him in
As a stand-up?
Saw him in Chicago in the late 50s as a stand-up.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
And my dad still talks about it to this day. Oh, you want to
Does
see
he?
Bob? Oh yeah. I almost shit my pants. I was laughing so hard. I've heard him say that no less than 100 times.
Question for you. You think your dad would come on with us one night if we ever get to the point of being able to do a live Skype or something like that?
My dad still has a rotary phone.
Okay, so no. I was just thinking maybe we could, that would be a great.
My dad
late
still
night
gets
gag.
up. My dad gets up and walks across the room to change the channel on the TV.
Like we did in the old days.
I was the remote.
Yes, me too.
Scott, come down here and change this channel to 4.
Oh, I've got a great story for you. I think you know where I'm going because I know I've told you this story before. Mother's Day, I was 8 years old. Now, as I said, my parents were hippies. So occasionally I ended up with a little bit of a contact high. Okay? Just from poor ventilation in the 70s and 80s. So anyway, we were sitting around one Mother's Day, and we were watching TV up in Atlanta. Channel 46, for those of you up there. And all of a sudden, on our little 12-inch Toshiba black and white television with manual dials, that the dial had broken.
You had a little pliers or something?
Oh, vice grips.
Yeah, okay.
Attached to it.
Yeah.
So all you had to do was reach up and turn it. It was already attached to it. So, yeah. So technical difficulties. Please stand by. Comes up on the screen, right? And of course we're sitting there for 2 or 3 minutes. My parents are stoned as hell. They've been smoking out that morning or whatever. And they finally say, Michael, get up and change channel. So I get my butt up. I walk across to the TV. I walk right up to it. And at about the time I reach for it, it says, "Don't touch that dial." I said, okay. We'll be right back. So I went around. I turned myself around, sat back down right between my parents on the couch. And of course, both of them are cracking up at this point.
Because they realized.
Right, they realized why my reaction was like that, and that I might have a little bit of a contact high that they didn't realize that I was going to get. Because they wouldn't have done that intentionally.
No, of course not. Parents never.
But, so anyway, my dad looks over at me, and my dad's had a great sense of humor. He elbows me, "Go change the channel." I said, "No." He said, "Why not?" I said, "It told me not to. You can get up and go change it if you want to, but it told me not to."
Don't
And
touch that
my
dial.
parents are dying laughing. Of
course.
Point. I'm wondering why. Yeah,
That's a great story.
from the old days, right there, from the remote controls. Boy, these kids just don't know, do they?
No, man, I grew up. There was the main three channels, but then there was two other channels, the PBS station,
channels, yeah.
and then the odd channel was channel 18,
Which was still a UHF of some kind.
but it was
Independent or something.
yeah, it was an independent stuff that used to rerun old movies, Tarzan and
We had one
Flash
of those.
Gordon and
You know what
all
ours
that kind
was?
of stuff.
WTCG. Purchased by Ted Turner. That
Interesting.
became WTBS.
Ah, okay.
Yep. Channel 17, when I grew up, was WTCG. And it was owned by Ted Turner. And he eventually, when the cable boom happened,
Well, that's where he made his fortune.
jumped in and got TBS and CNN and all that kind of stuff that, anyway. We won't go there. That's one of our rules. Well, I think we've had a damn good Whiskey Wednesday part 2.
Yeah. I'm thinking of the Charlie Sheen movie, Part 2.
Part 2.
Duh. And duh.
What was it? Hot Shots.
Hot Shots.
Hot Shots.
Duh.
Part 2. Well, thank you, Carmen, for joining us.
Hey, thanks for
again.
tuning in.
Yes. Coach Bridges, if you watch the replay, thank you for stopping in as well. Whoever our third person was, or a couple of third people, I don't know. I saw a 3 on there a couple of times.
We need to just do more advertising, so we can
And next week we will. What I'd like to
we
start
can
doing-
get some interaction with the viewers.
Exactly. Well, here
We'll answer questions.
Talking about.
So Carmen, next week come with at least 3 questions.
There you go.
There's your homework assignment for the week.
So here is my final version of the vision of what we're going to try to accomplish overall here. I'm thinking that you and I do a live every Wednesday night that you and I
we
get
can
together.
get together.
Now that doesn't mean every week, because there are occasions where work will get in the way for Scott.
Yeah.
Carmen is nice enough to let me off most times so I can be here to host this. But but Scott does occasionally have to rain check on me. Weeks like that, I'm hoping that maybe we can have some other guests in, that we can have some other content ready. But what I'm thinking is maybe that you and I record like a 15-minute live segment each Wednesday, and then have other stuff that we've prepared to go along with it, and then you and I will sit here on our live get
Well,
together.
you know, one of the things that when we collaborate, we've collaborated on some music that Michael's done, because he borrows my ear, which
Right.
which is fine and it's fun.
Right.
That would be, I think, might be interesting to film from that direction this way,
Yes.
and see us working together on just getting the 1 or 2 little things that you want to get done.
Exactly. And I'm thinking
And record
with,
that,
with our
and then-
tripod here that we've got now, we can actually go sideways right over here next to you and shoot back in this direction, kind of, for this wall
Yeah.
to be the backdrop, so we don't show too much of the apartment.
Yeah.
Here. And it's not that there's anything wrong with the apartment. It's just we're looking for the best, most palatable shots, as far as visually pleasing to those of you who will be watching. Because we really do hope that we can make this a regular thing and take off with it, and do some
And
really cool things.
and again, yeah, I mean, it'd be great to have a room full of people, so to speak,
Right.
that are just
a room here, right?
yeah, just having a good time with us and enjoying, and that we can interact with too.
So here, look. We'll even be able to do remote broadcasts.
Well, this is actually a real mic, isn't it? Yes,
No,
it is.
It
Well,
is.
this is the mic, I know.
Right. That clips into that.
Oh, I see, said the blind man.
So if we do get any local stuff going on that we want to do a remote on, we can go out and record some things, take our tripod, do our man on the street interviews. And hey, Orange, go Gators.
It's orange and blue are the tops.
Yes. Well, anything else you want to say before we sign off for the evening?
Peace, love, understanding.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining, Carmen.
See you next week, Carmen. Again,
And we will do
3
some
questions.
advertising this week. Come back with some questions for us next week. We'll even maybe try to have a little extra content available.
We'll see. We'll figure it
I'm
out.
going to mess around with the software, see what I can come up with. Because I want to do, like here, I wrote an intro. Yeah, I did a whole little video intro for us, a 30-second spot for us for last week. And then we didn't get to use it because of malfunctions, technical difficulties. So we will continue to improve. I'm going to get a little better with this software as well as...
Hey, you know, the other thing I was thinking of, you know when I was doing the Master Gardener stuff and I do those 30-second ads?
Yeah.
We could do a 30-second ad for this and you could push it out to your database.
Yeah. And yes,
It'd be very easy for me to make that.
The software that I have here, I can actually edit and put together video and then cast it to Facebook and YouTube together. But I don't have a way to do it live yet.
Okay.
So that's kind of what we're looking at. I can schedule with the software that I have here a live event and then automatically play that video.
Yeah, because I'll tell you, it would be just, because obviously driving around North Florida, I have time to think. It would be, I think it would be very interesting if we could simulcast on a couple of different platforms.
That would be cool to do, and like I said, I would eventually like to work in maybe some live remote type stuff as well. You know, where we have visitors that will join us from other places, or even do pre-recorded stuff here. You know, go out and interview somebody that might be a guest on a Whiskey Wednesday. You know, and just have somebody in here as a physical guest, but maybe during that week go out and interview them for a couple of minutes out in their element or whatever.
Hey, you know, I think we should get some OnlyFans girls in here.
I don't know. The lady upstairs might have a little problem with that. And I think,
So would the lady at home.
Yeah. We want fans, but not necessarily OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Well, again,
If people are only into bald heads,
right, exactly.
I'd make $500,000 a month.
What do you think? Should we change it from Whiskey Wednesday to 2 bald guys sitting around talking?
No, Whiskey Wednesdays, that's okay.
I
It's got
like
a
Whiskey
nice
Wednesday.
wing to it. And for the most part, I mean, between the two of us, if we want to have a different whiskey often, we might end up with 30 bottles each.
Right.
Right?
And, you know, who's to say that we can't switch things up a little bit and occasionally do a beer instead of a whiskey or something like that? Here, I've got a couple of beers for us each. And
Oh, that's
I bought
true.
while
I
was
forgot
in
about
Georgia.
yeah.
So we could do even beer reviews here and there.
Yeah,
Or something
sure.
like
I
that.
think
So
that'd be fun.
give us your ideas. Let us know what you want to see on here, because that's ultimately kind of what we're here for, is to not only do this for our own purpose, but for you, to entertain you, to show us, tell us what you want to see on here based on the ideas that
I
we
agree.
put out there tonight and everything.
Just don't, here, ask stupid questions, get stupid answers.
We are both smart asses. Y'all have a good week. We will see you with something next week. I don't know what just yet, but whether it's a pre-recorded or a live broadcast, we will have some kind of content next Wednesday night, sometime between 8 and 9-ish at this point. We'll nail things down a little more as we go along.
Yeah, now that we're kind of getting this part
Yeah.
is kind of taken care of, you could kind of set your clock for somewhere between probably 8 and 8:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good bet.
For the next couple of weeks, expect a few delays as we get used to the new equipment, and maybe if I start integrating some of the other software in and such like that.
All right, man.
So, but we're going to get this thing going, and we're going to have a little fun with it, even if nobody watches.
Love it when a plan comes together.
Brother, as always, enjoyed it, and we will see you next week.
Peace.